Today I'm going to show you some myofascial work that you can do for releasing the bottom of the rib cage, potentially affecting some of the diaphragm, and also doing some work for the chest and shoulders. One of the most unaddressed areas of the body in therapeutic body work, regular massage therapy, myofascial release work, in our movement practices is working on releasing some of the connective tissue along the sternum and also the bottom of the rib cage. So today's little session is going to be talking about those things, and then as we get into it, I'll also talk about some of the different conditions and different histories that this might be really beneficial for. So to start off, making sure that you're nice and warm. Really, myofascial work can be done pretty much at any time. A lot of my history with working with clients, doing body work and things, people would ask me like, is it better to do this before or after I work out, or is it better to do this before or after, I go for a bike ride or something like that? And I used to think that, if you did that activity after, that you'd be like undoing the benefit of the myofascial work. And I have since learned a lot more about the body, and I realize now that some of the most effective training that you can do is when things are already mobilized and released. Sometimes you don't feel as strong as you would otherwise, but you get a very honest insight and perspective onto the areas that maybe need a little bit more strengthening, and also just the way that you can experience freedom and really nice harmony in the body doing some of your favorite activities and or workouts. So we'll start off with the larger roller. Depending upon your tolerance and history, you can work with either a really firm, dense roller. You might work with something a little bit softer if you have, if you're post-operative recovery, certainly with permission from your medical care, and also just knowing what's going to be workable for you. So as I mentioned, we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that this will be really good for. But to start off, you're going to bring your roller across your mat, walk your hands out, bring your knees directly underneath your hips, and then you'll bring your chest down onto the roller. And I'm just using my body to kind of get the roller into place here. The roller should be at the bottom of your rib cage. So you kind of want to be right near the xiphoid process, a little bit lower or a little bit higher than that. I say that and then I have this moment where I remember I don't have the xiphoid process. But anyway, that bony point at the bottom of your sternum that you would use for CPR to kind of trace where to start working up from. Once you've found that, you're going to start to move side to side a little bit, and this may be really nice, or this may be a moment of clarity where you're just kind of like, oh my gosh, I had no idea I had that much tension. Please feel welcome to adjust throughout this by shifting your hands and arms so that you feel supported. If you notice that you are over-efforting, hunching your shoulders up in order to support your weight, then you want to do something to support that. And different ways that you can kind of utilize other tools is to bring in things like yoga blocks and put them underneath your forearms, and I can show you what that looks like in a little bit. But just getting that contact there and the positioning here, I mentioned knees under hips, but I'm finding that shifting my body forward a little more gives me more contact with that roller. So I'm just actually going to shift my knees back too, and now I've got really firm contact and start to work side to side here. This does not feel good. This is a hurt so good kind of feeling. When we start doing this work here, you're probably going to experience some restriction of your breath. So if you feel like your breath is a little shallow, that's pretty normal. You might also experience some unpleasant kind of just sort of like restriction in the belly feeling. Over time, all of those things can actually be really beneficial, but at the beginning they sometimes are not that nice. So just working side to side, creating that rocking action. Often think of myself like a boat kind of swaying in the waves here. And then noticing your breath and being mindful that you're still present within your inhale and your exhale. You'll start to work your way back. So when we work the fascia along the front of the sternum, we want to lift it up. We want to have it create spaciousness and openness to provide an upright posture. So think of catching into that connective tissue, rolling back, and freeing it from its stuck position on the sternum. This will be different for everybody, so I'm just going to reposition myself a little bit. I've come back to my starting point, and then I'm going to work my way back again. And I'll do that again. And you can use your hands to adjust the roller. You can use your body to adjust the roller. So I've got right at the bottom of the ribs again. One more time, working it back and up. And that time I actually heard and felt some of my cervical spine adjust. And then from there, you can go ahead and rise up. Give yourself a little break. Some of this can be a little intense, supporting with the hands and shoulders. So just taking a nice breath there, rolling out the shoulders, relaxing your face. Notice your breath here. Notice the expansion of your rib cage, the feeling of your inhale, the feeling of your exhale, the different quality that's already begun to come in. And then from there, let's go ahead and move on. You can use your roller longitudinal. I'm gonna work with massage balls. These are the Hurt So Good massage balls. These are my favorite at this particular point in history. If you have any kind of scar tissue on your sternum, let's say you had bypass surgery a while back, any kind of open heart surgery, I really should say, and they had to open through the chest and split the sternum, really, really brutal stuff. You're gonna have a lot of adhesion there unless you've done a really good job managing your scar treatment post-operative. So I'm working with the balls. You might use a roller longitudinal. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. But you'll come down and you'll center those balls, so you'll center that roller right in between both halves of the chest. So again, the bottom ball is going to be a little higher up than where we began. The balls will kind of be kind of around the nipple line this time. You're going to start to gently work side to side here. And this too will not feel amazing. The after effect will feel amazing. This is an area that tends to be quite under addressed in terms of working and opening up the fascia. So just moving side to side here. If you find any sweet spots, and what I mean by that is if you find any spots that are just a little bit brighter in sensation, I like to refer to those as sweet spots, then you might kind of hang out there and just do some little micro movements, some circling action, and see if you can maybe release some of that. A lot of times those sweet spots are indicative of trigger points. So again, checking in with your breath, working that side to side movement, and I'm finding that on each side, right on the edge of the sternum, I've got some nice bright feeling through those attachment points of the pectoral muscles. So I'm just gonna work those a little bit more there with that rocking and circling. And then come back to center. And just as we did before, the body will move back just a little bit. And then you'll soften, lift up, reposition, weight comes down, the body moves back. So you think of kind of catching into this tissue and lifting it up. And one more time, lifting, moving forward over those balls, softening into them, working it back. And then from there, gently rising. You can come right up toward a Sphinx posture here. Take a moment. Invite those shoulders to drop down away from the ears, press firmly through the forearms. Feel for supporting the front of your lumbar spine, inviting the tailbone and low back to lengthen back and away. And then go ahead and reposition your balls here. And this time they're going to be side by side. They will be above the breast tissue. This may or may not be accessible for everyone, depends on the size of your chest. You can always supplement support by placing a pillow underneath the abdomen. That is a nice way to take some of the pressure off the chest. And then from there, again, the balls are above the breast there. They should be right up underneath your clavicle and collarbone. And you're gonna work side to side there. There tends to be a lot of attachment in that area that has some serious adhesion and tension that we oftentimes do not experience just walking around in our day-to-day. So here I like to think of myself a little bit more like a cobra. So I'm not in a cobra pose, but I am taking that kind of hypnotic side to side movement. And I actually like to think of it as becoming more of like almost an undulated figure eight movement. So there's a little bit of a shoulder action that can come in, a little roll, and you're intuitively just gonna move in a way that makes sense to your body. Again, a lot of stuff here that can be quite bright. So stay in your breath. Notice any areas that are reactive to that discomfort. So maybe you kind of hunch your shoulders up, let those relax. If you clench your jaw, Let your mouth be soft, your tongue can rest on the roof of the mouth, allow your face to relax, let the eyeballs get soft. Close your eyes. Allow the awareness of that quiet space to come out, that amnestic quality. So when I use the word amnestic, I'm referring to the things that maybe are not online all the time, things that aren't always accessible to feel or to communicate with in the body. And again, just breathing, that little side-to-side movement there. And then gently rising, bringing those elbows in nice and close. Hands can come wide here, and if it's accessible, you'll float up into seal pose. Elbows are unlocked, finger pads press firmly into the earth. The back of the skull is light, and then I'm just finding some gentle sort of swivels in the elbow here to free the shoulders even more. And then go ahead and softly release, come down. Invite yourself up. Place those balls aside. Go ahead and grab your roller again. So from here, I should just show you real quickly that longitudinal version. So just put your roller lengthwise, and this might be, say you don't have balls, or maybe you don't want to work with them, you're not ready for them. This is a nice way to kind of get used to some of that work. So you're actually gonna have the roller kind of up in front of you, and you'll come down, place the center of the chest on the roller. So you want that bottom edge of the roller still underneath the rib cage, it's not pushing into the belly, and you're gonna find a little bit of that side-to-side movement there. Supporting with the forearms, relaxing through the upper back, relaxing through the neck and shoulders, relaxing through the eyes. This is not nearly as intense as working with the balls. This is a good starting point. Another area that is often overlooked when we think about opening up through the chest is the side of the ribs. So we're gonna get into that in just a moment. So invite yourself, when you're done, up and off of that roller. Turn it to the side. So now it's perpendicular with the length of the mat. You'll come onto your side. You'll bring the side of the rib cage down onto the roller here. So it's around the same latitude as the bottom edge of your shoulder blades. If you're wearing a bra, it's kind of the same latitude as where your bra strap would be. That supporting or base arm's going to extend out. You can bring your hand there to support the head. That can be really nice for the neck. Your top foot can come forward, bottom leg can extend back, still keeping a bend in your knees. And then from there, you'll begin to rock forward and back. So we're not working longitudinal, or we're not working up and down quite yet. We will work our way up eventually, but the movement here is going to be more of opening up to the sky, rolling back over slightly, and just working that movement. Notice that your top arm is relaxed. Something that I like to play with sometimes is just letting that top arm drop back out behind me, back of the hand coming to the low back, and you might be able to see my fingers underneath there, but just letting that arm relax in that position. It's a nice positional reset for one of the muscles underneath your shoulder blade, or the muscle under the shoulder blade called the subscapularis there. So just working that. You get two birds with one stone, so to speak. Rocking side to side, letting that top arm's shoulder have that reset, that break. Noticing any little grimaces or wincing or pulling away that you might feel inclined to do. Maybe you're curling your toes. We have all these little things that we do when we're trying to avoid discomfort. And then when you're ready, you'll gently shift that roller up closer to the armpits. It's gonna come right up in there. And that area can be quite full of trigger points. From here, I invite you to find a way that you can support your head with as little effort in the neck as possible, but not pulling on the head either. And then you're gonna find that rocking action again here. You're getting into the rotator cuff there, so essential for releasing the chest. Anytime we think of releasing the shoulders, we should always think of releasing the chest as well, and vice versa. So really what we're looking at is that armor that we wear, right? That kind of football armor over the rib cage. And just getting really into that for a moment, feeling out any areas that need a little extra attention, maybe playing with some of that circling action there, getting creative, being intuitive with your movement. This doesn't all have to be this very calculated mental process. This is very much just experiential. Play with different positions with your hips too. Let them rock forward, let them rock back, let them tilt back, let them tilt forward. So we take on some undulations as well. And then when you're ready, you'll go ahead and switch sides. Again, we're starting off with the roller farther down on the body, so we want to put that into position. Bring our supporting arm underneath the head there. Extending that top leg, bringing that base leg into that bend there, and then that top arm can kind of drop back, and finding that rocking action here. And just noticing all the little sensations that come with this. So if you have a history of a shoulder injury, that's going to reveal itself and its lingering qualities quite vividly with this. And continuing to breathe. Continuing to stay present with your breath. If your mind begins to wander, gently invite it back to the breath awareness, allowing that to be that starting off point to let that awareness come out farther and deeper into the body. So a few rocks there, maybe more or less time on each side, depending upon its history and its sensations, and then shifting that roller up, shifting your body down a little bit, positioning yourself so that you can support your head comfortably, and then finding that rocking action. You'll open up to the sky, you'll kind of roll over a little bit more, open up, and roll over, and a few more breaths like that, opening and closing, and again playing with the hips there, extending and allowing them to drop into that posterior tilt, just finding all the kind of luscious movement that you can in this. Feeling your breath, finding those sweet spots, rolling into them, circling around them, and just noticing that you're not putting dead weight into anything for any longer than 3 seconds. You want to keep it nice and respectful. We're not getting aggressive with this work. And then once you've found the completion on that side, you'll come up and just being judicious with your roller there, and go ahead and place the roller kind of at the back bottom part of your rib cage. No. You know what? That's good to start. We'll just find a little extension. And then what I'd like for you to do is to shift that roller actually up a little bit higher. So it's going to come up similar to the same, like that, what's the word I'm looking for? The spine of your scapula, of your shoulder blades. You've got this kind of bony prominence across the shoulder blade that goes on a latitude. You want to find that there. And then from there, start to press into your feet and roll your way backwards so that roller will start to come down. And you may notice that you get some nice final adjustments with that. So I'm putting way less pressure as I shift back to this point, and then the pressure comes in here. So I'm actually guiding the tissue down the back. And you can kind of play with that action there, and then finding that side to side movement here, just noticing that you're not straining your neck. You can have your hips resting on the mat. You can also have your hips elevated a little bit. That'll give you almost more pressure. So just kind of feel which one of those is going to speak to you. And then you'll start to roll almost over to the side here, kind of coming as if you're about to return to that side lying work. Rather not though. Oh my goodness. You're really getting into some of those rotator cuff muscles there. And then finding a place of stillness and ease, allowing the spine to extend, staying supportive through the neck as you gently roll back and down to a place where you can bring your head down onto the mat. You should be able to breathe here. So if you're like, when is this going to be over? That's probably too deep for you. So you just kind of want to play with it, see how it feels for now. And then gently release, come up and off. And from here, we could do a lot of other things. But I think that's it for now. I'm just starting off with those, seeing how that works out for you, and then building on that over time. And I'll be adding more content to this same subject in the future, doing a lot more with opening up through the chest, both through the myofascial work with the tools, which is pretty much all we did right in this session, and also working with some different stretching techniques. And so thank you so much. Namaste.